it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's going to be the person that knows how to use it that will take your job, because it's an amplifier of our human abilities. And financial literacy is a skill that is needed for survival. A lot of people end up homeless or even jobless because they're not financially literate, working a job they hate for 20, 30 years because they're not financially literate enough to understand that you're allowed to do more. Because we try to go to our parents for advice or family members, but if they haven't been where you are now, then they can't really give you advice. Always seek advice from people who are where you want to be or are where you are at that point in time when it comes to success.
Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. This is Nitin Ramachandra from the Nitin Sports Rush. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We're fresh off of a new week already, and in mid-July, so a lot of things going on in the New York, New Jersey area with a lot of sports and a lot of things going on. So shout out to everyone for being there, for showing support. I have a special guest today on the show. Her name is Erica Downing. She's an entrepreneur. She has her own podcast. And I had the fortunate to be on her show, so I told her let's do the vice versa, have her on this platform. And her show is called Prosperity Pathways Podcast with Erica Downing, and she does an amazing job with her podcast, and she's done a great job throughout her career building her brand. And like I said, she's an entrepreneur, and she does a lot of great things. She represents all women out there in a positive way, and I can't wait to learn more about her story and obviously her family. And she's a mother, and she told me a lot about her kid, and I can't wait to get to learn more about that. But Erica, thank you for joining. Welcome, and how was your weekend?
Thank you for having me, Nathan. My weekend actually was very productive. All last week, I was at the National Alliance to End Homelessness Conference as press, so I did a lot of interviews there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was supposed to go to a community event on Saturday as well, but I was pooped after the long week of talking and walking around the conference.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But Erica, start off with your journey, how you got into this business and how you started your show. And like I said, I had the fortunate to be a guest on your show. That was amazing. And just talk about the overall the journey of your story and of your life, and obviously being a mother too.
So just overall, I'm very passionate about uplifting my community and changing the trajectory of the view of Americans as a whole to be more positive than it has been. And not even just the perception of us, our living experience and how we connect with each other. It's become detrimental more than it has become positive. And within my journey of doing so, I've dug deep into how to better myself and better my life, because you should always be the change you want to see in the world, that famous saying. And I have become an advocate for financial literacy. And within that journey, I've written 2 children's financial literacy books, which I self-published on Amazon. And then I started the podcast, Prosperity Pathways Podcast, because within my journey as an entrepreneur, it's hard. You don't know who to ask. You don't know what to do. And there's not a book for dummies on how to be an entrepreneur. So you have to learn as you go. And the biggest thing I learned, as we both know now, is networking and connecting with people and learning from other people's journeys. And that's what made me think of the Prosperity Pathways podcast. And within my podcast journey, I've met lots of people. I've further educated myself in technology because I am also passionate about technology. And so now I am an AI developer, builder, teacher, and I have a company called Flowbot Forge where we help entrepreneurs integrate AI and workforce development and automation systems into their operations so they can work smarter, not harder, and scale and be successful.
Yeah, it's amazing what you've done, and you've done a lot of stuff in your career, and having two children, books, and obviously being in the financial side. And the one thing I do like though is like you mix it up. You not only you focus on what you're doing, but you expand it with sports and other things. And like you brought me on, and I work in the obviously sports industry, agency business. So and that was a cool, unique thing what you do in your show. But talk about how did you get into the financial field, and just tell more people about what you do in that area.
Okay. So the reason I chose to be an advocate for financial literacy is because I have witnessed and experienced how hard it is to not only make money, but keep it. Nobody teaches you how money truly works when you're a child or a teenager or even a young adult. There are schools out here are starting to implement some financial classes, and I do remember in high school, like they taught you how to balance a checkbook, maybe, and like simple things that it didn't really move the needle, and when it came to financial knowledge. And then I found out what financial literacy is, and realized there's a lot of people who don't know it, and you're not taught by your parents because they don't know either, and their parents didn't teach them. Everybody's learning as they go, and financial literacy is a skill that is needed for survival. A lot of people end up homeless or even jobless because they're not financially literate, working a job they hate for 20, 30 years because they're not financially literate enough to understand that you're allowed to do more. You're allowed to make these pot holders that you love and then sell them to people on Etsy, because that's what those platforms are for. You need to diversify your income. You need to save and invest. Money isn't just meant to be spent on bills and stuff. It's meant to be turned into currency so that it's constantly flowing and growing for you.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. And what if speak building off from that, talk about what do you what is the toughest thing about it, and what is the easiest thing about it? What do you say? Hard part and the easiest part of doing all this.
The hardest part is discipline. The hardest part is you spent your whole life doing stuff one way, and now you have to train your brain to do it a completely different way, which is the hardest part. Um, mo- as human beings, we learn by mimicking. And so when you grow up and see people doing things a certain way, and then even when you're trying to change, people are still doing them in the way that you know is incorrect, you will continue to repeat those problems because that's what you're seeing. It's easier to go with the crowd than it is to just strike out on your own for most people. And that is, for me, the hardest part. And then what was the second part of the
Oh,
question?
and what's the easiest part of it? You would you say?
I feel like the easiest part is, there's nothing easy about it. I'm just completely honest. It's a process. I guess the easiest part would be stop selling yourself short. A lot of people are not humble already, anyways, but they don't realize that confidence that they exude isn't showing in other areas of their life. So wealth it's more than just money. Wealth is how you eat. It's how you treat your body. It's how you treat your mind. It's how you treat other people around you. And if you're being nasty to the person that serves you food, or the homeless person you walk past, even if you don't have money for them, you can still say hi. Um, it's just how if somebody says, hey, you should read this book because you told them about something you want to do, and so you just ignore it because, hey, I don't read. Just, you have to adapt to those things, and that's the easiest part, but people make it hard. They make it hard because, oh, I haven't been doing that way. The way I've been doing it has been working. I'm going to keep doing it that way. Well, technically, it hasn't been working. You think it's been working, but it hasn't. So
Yeah. So when it comes to the sports side, so what advice would you give to players? And I know we talked about it on your platform, but what advice would you give to athletes, all the players, and also the newcomers that are just getting started, and also the especially the celebrities like the entertainment people? So what advice would you give when it comes to financial security and how for them to, because you see all these crazy stories that come out with them and not spending it wisely, but what advice would you give them to maybe change their habits and be more wise about it?
I think number one, the biggest thing is to a step. If you know you have bad spending habits, you know you like shopping. Um, oh, this goes back into the last question. The easiest thing is controlling your emotions. Because once you control your emotions, you won't splurge and go shopping because you had a bad day, or splurge and go shopping because you got a promotion, or certain things. Your emotions are driven by your emotions, and a lot of people pretend that it isn't driven by their emotions, and try to put it off on other people. Oh, you're being emotional about it. No, actually, you're being emotional, and you need to recognize that and put it in check. So, the first piece of advice that I would give somebody who is starting to actually build that wealth and coming into their wealth, whether it be a celebrity or athlete, is get a psychiatrist. That way you can work through any emotional challenges you might have, any biases you might have, because we try to go to our parents for advice or family members, but if they haven't been where you are now, then they can't really give you advice. Always seek advice from people who are where you want to be or are where you are at that point in time when it comes to success. Because seeking advice from people who've never done it before, they're going to speak out of fear. They're going to speak out of fear of loss or fear of never being able to get it again, because a lot of people go and splurge because, like, oh snap, I've never seen this money before, it may never happen again, and so they spend it. Which I have the opposite mindset of, oh, it might be a while before I get some more money, let me tuck this away. It's a different mindset that has to be formed. And so seeking advice is the first step I would advise anybody, whether it's going to a psychiatrist or if you feel kind of sketchy about mental health, cool, skip that step, get you a financial advisor and make sure you do your research on that person. A certified financial planner, I was going for that certification as well. Certified, just somebody who can help you, who has no direct interest in it. They have a set fee, you just pay them. Meanwhile, your family and stuff might need loans from you or want you to buy them a house and car, and so they'll tell you stuff, but it's kind of biased.
Well, yeah. So for yourself, obviously before getting into this field of financial, what challenges did you have to overcome throughout in your own life, and obviously now being in this industry, what's it been like for you to help other people out now?
I've always been a giver. I've always been the person that helps people more than I should, quite honestly, to my own detriment. And so I've learned how to put boundaries on that. That was my big financial literacy hurdle, was helping, pouring out of my cup half full into empty cups. And I'm not even, I don't have, you can't help the next person if you're not fully capable of restoring yourself. Um, so that was my biggest lesson, is just putting boundaries on how I help people, and also networking more, talking to more people. A lot of times in my youth, in teenage years, I've scaled back on like reaching out to people and talking because I get a lot of negative feedback, or or I'm scared of negative feedback. And More recently, I realized just do it. All you can get is a yes or a no. When you reach out to people, just say hi. Either you'll get a response or you won't. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. You're not going to lose it all. At the very least, you actually tried, which is 50% of the battle. Most people don't even try. So,
Yeah. So, and talk about your, obviously you have two children books, and I want to get to that. And you see a lot of obviously a lot of people in the sports industry and invest in children books and make children books. So for you, how did that come about? And what's that been like for you to have two children books being published on Amazon and people seeing it, and obviously you're helping out the youth too, which is all about the youth now, so in this generation. So.
yes. Well, I focused on the youth because I saw from my lived experience, I understood that it starts when you're younger. Uh, at a young age, I remember the bad statements that were made that gave me biases against making money. Like when you ask for McDonald's and your mom's like, oh, we have McDonald's at home because you have frozen nuggets in the freezer. It's not quite the same. And that statement gives you stigmas on money that we didn't even realize. Do you think money grows on trees when you go to ask for something? I know people have heard all of those statements. There's a lot of, or even the statements about rich people where people will have a lot of negative statements. Oh, rich people are this and rich people are that. And it's a lot of generalizations that give you a negative mindset towards making money that you don't even realize. And it can block you from moving forward. If somebody's constantly told you that, oh, when people get rich, they have to join the Illuminati or be a devil worshiper or something like that, that would make you kind of be like, oh, I'm good with making a medium income where I'm just barely scraping by. That's good enough because if I have too much money, then I'm one of the wealthy people and I'm going to become this, that, and the third. And that's not the case. Usually money makes somebody more of what they already are. So if somebody becomes rich and they're an a-hole, they were already that. So
Yeah. So, what are the names of the children's book, and how many and obviously is it in the stores or just Amazon for now?
it's in Amazon. It's only in Amazon for now, because I do plan on ordering some copies to give out to the local schools here in DC. The first book is a children's book for 6 to 12 years old called Money Adventures. And then the second book is for 15 to 25 for young adults called Beyond Survival, Maya's Journey to Generational Wealth. And both of them are targeted depending on that group. If the good thing about King's Money Adventure, it does have a little interactive budgeting game in it. Both of the books are going to be series, so I do have sequels to them coming out to progressively provide more lessons in generational wealth, whether it be saving, budgeting, investing, the difference between assets and liabilities, just teaching people things that I feel like should be in the public school system, but it's not.
Yeah, I'm curious why. Yeah, speaking of that, why do you think they're not in the public school systems?
Well, from the research, because I have done a lot of research actually on the school systems, and originally when high school started, it was more like junior college. It was teaching people how to help their families because most families actually had businesses at home. So high school was teaching you accounting and how to manage operations and things like that. And then slowly after the Industrial Revolution or within that time frame, because it was slightly before that, they switched into training people to be more employees. We need to make sure you understand how to be in a building from 9 to 5. You have your basic academic knowledge and send you off into the world. And it just, even when it came to entertainment, the news used to be educational. It told us about the economy and what's going on in the country. things that as a citizen we should always be aware of and knowledgeable of, but we no longer are. Most people just go off of gossip, what they heard on the latest radio show. The news now shows high speed pursuits and shootings and stuff that is relevant, but there's more important stuff going on that we do need to hear about as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because obviously some they miss or they don't even talk about the important stories that are out there, and that has to be that has to be taken seriously more on the news networks, like you said. And for you, what would you like to see people take out of your two books? What is the main goal of that, and what would you see? What would you like to see these the people take out from your two books, and what they learn from?
I would like for them to come away with a thirst for more knowledge and better currency management habits. And I have recently have been training myself to use the word money, I mean currency instead of money, because using the term money keeps your mind stuck on using it just to pay bills and buy stuff. Whereas the term currency reminds me that it is something that should be used to improve and make more money.
Yeah, so being in DC throughout your so far throughout your career, obviously a historic place, and so what have you learned being living in DC?
Living in DC, I've learned to embrace my uniqueness and my lived experiences, because that's what makes me unique and different is my lived experiences. Um, just in sharing my knowledge with other people, because there may be things that I feel like is common sense that isn't common sense. I remember the first time I mentioned my podcast to someone just out when I was walking down the street outside of a chicken place, and I think they were trying to hit on me, but either way, they said hi, and I think I asked them what they do, and they asked me what I do, and I said I have a podcast called Prosperity Pathways Podcast. We help people understand financial literacy, I think was what I was saying at that time. And he said, "Oh, okay," as if he understood at first. But what I really respected is the fact that he said, "What is that?" He could have walked away and pretended like he knew exactly what I was talking about, but he did say, "What is that? What's financial literacy?" So I explained it to him. And that's definitely the moment when I realized more people need to know because people don't haven't even heard the term.
Oh, interesting. So you earlier you brought up networking, and obviously people have their own ways of networking. I have my own way of networking, and talk about your style of networking and how you go about the business of networking.
Oh, networking is it's an art. Because like I said, I had this fear of talking to over talking to people. Basically, it's like I didn't want to be annoying, and by not being annoying, I also am not being relevant. And so that's the trap of that is by telling yourself, "Oh, I don't want to be annoying," you're also taking yourself off the board completely. So I figured there's this happy medium between slightly annoying, what I would consider slightly annoying, and just regular conversation. I've always struggled with interpersonal connections because as a child, I went to a different school every year. I went to a different school every year. I think it was either fifth or sixth grade. I went to 4 or 5 different schools because I was bouncing between my mom's house, my dad's house, my grandma's house. And so I've had a hard time growing up being able to form the connections that are easy for most people because a lot of people either, even if you do move, it's every few years, not every single year. And so you've learned how to form these connections. This is a new thing or was a new thing for me, or still is. It's still a new thing for me to figure out how to properly interact with people and without being too blunt, um, because there's a lot of formalities that people prefer that makes conversations a lot smoother. And until most recently, I didn't really know the art of that. And luckily, I have a support system around me to help me with that. And in that process, I've thought of this idea to build this app, and which I do have well, it's not out yet, but I'm working on. I've built it up. I have a demo. Well, I don't have a demo. I have a beta version that I am in the process of using to
That's
help.
good that you brought it up because you sent me a little gist of it, but I want you to explain on here. So you can go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yes, so the app is to help busy professionals keep relationships warm so that you don't miss opportunities again. Because I know I'm not the only person that I know for a fact I've missed opportunities. Because I know for a fact there's people in my phone book that if I haven't reached out to you within the year, you probably, within 2 weeks, you probably don't even remember who I am, quite honestly. So that's why I built that app. Like I said, because of my own struggles with networking and connecting, the app will help you facilitate these relationships, whether it be professional or personal, because we all have those people that we know we need to reach out to. You try to find the time, and then by the time you look up, it's been days or weeks before you actually reached out to them, whether it be via text message or email. And so this app is going to help you do that with AI in the back end to help you construct messages to them as well. So that way it's an effortless workflow for you every day. In the morning time, it'll give you a list of all the 5 people that you haven't reached out to in the past X amount of days that you need to reach out to. And it'll give you the drafted messages so that way you can send that to them and keep it moving. It'll also tell you whatever mode is the most efficient to reach out to them, whether it be text message or email, or if it needs to remind you to just call the people, because that's the type of contact that is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And obviously you're still working on the final touches, but you can't announce date the launch date yet, right?
No, not yet. Yeah, because I'm still doing betas, and there's a few connections that I want to lock in to make sure that it's very native. So the purpose of it is to be not just another app you download on your phone. It's something you set up one time and it'll send you notifications via whatever's most convenient. So whether it be notifications, I'm sorry, excuse me, whether it be push notifications, emails, or text messages to remind you of these connections that you need to keep warm so that you don't miss out on these opportunities. Um, yeah, it's going to be so awesome once it's released, because I did see another competitive application available, but it doesn't quite meet the same standards. So
Oh wow.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you speaking of you do a lot of stuff with AI, and AI has been a lot of people are starting to use AI too, especially in the sports industry or any other business. So it's going to start taking over. But for you, what have you learned so far with AI, and what do you think the pros and cons to it? But what's been what do you what have you learned though?
Okay. What I've learned about AI is that everybody's scared that it's going to take your job, for one. But what I've learned is that it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's going to be the person that knows how to use it that will take your job, because it's an amplifier of our human abilities. So now that person that was doing one manual task can do the job of 5 people when they learn these AI skills. And it's going to be mandatory, just like when the computers came out, when internet came out. These are things that are going to just integrate into our lives on a regular basis. All of the upheaval of Terminator type future, I don't think is happening. It's more of the same way we transitioned into using computers every day. The pros of it, like I said before, is it amplifies what you do, what you can do. So as a person, you need to see, okay, what am I doing on a regular basis and how can I make this faster and reliable at the same time? The con of it is there's a lot of people using it to do things that they don't know how to do already. So there's a lot of people using like Lovable, Base 44, all of those different apps to build their own applications and then push them out to the public. But if you aren't an engineer or if you're not a certified in cybersecurity like myself and my co-founder, then you're pushing out dangerous weapons at this point. And so just using proper, what's the word I want to, just use discretion, proper discretion on how you use AI and how it can improve your life. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think, and obviously in this sports industry, they're using it and also other businesses. So it's going to be interesting going forward with that. But I want to talk about your podcast, Prosperity, and like I said, I had the opportunity to be on that. Thank you for that. But for you, what's been the journey like for you and throughout this process, having a platform where people can come on talk about anything pretty much on your show, and what's that been like learning different people's journeys and obviously telling your journey to them?
I love it and I've learned from it. And that's the best part for me is not just my audience learning, but I'm learning as well. And I get to make meaningful connections with new people like yourself and partnerships with people as well. There's a lot of like one of the interviews I did is my technical mentor, and so he definitely helps push me forward in the tech world. And when it comes to the podcast world, I feel like you've been helping me a lot with guidance and things like that. And so like meeting different people, learning new things, I'm always a lifelong learner. And that's my biggest thing. It's helped me overcome my challenges with speaking with people. I've also been driven to tell my story as a motivational speaker, and so that's helped me boost my own confidence in that sector and industry as well. And I see this as being the route to help me market the rest of the services, but also to help uplift the community and provide advice that most people couldn't even afford to pay for. A lot of the advice and guidance that you get from my podcast episodes, you would have to pay a business consultant for, and that's not feasible for some people. Sometimes their business is barely scraping by, so you can't pay for a business consultant. So that I've always tried to provide cost-effective ways to help grow and scale.
Yeah, so talk about how many episodes you have done now, and what would you say you're the most impactful interview you have done so far in your career?
I think I have about maybe 13, 15 episodes or more. I didn't even count them because I've been, at first when I started the podcast, the interviews were sporadic, not on a regular basis. I might have one month and one a couple months later and one a couple months after that, and then air all of them the month after. And so my biggest lessons was consistency for one. Um, so now I've found my cadence and I have an episode that comes out once a week. I am looking for more people to interview so that I can maintain that cadence of once a week. Even if it drops back to once a month, at least it will be on a regular basis. I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question?
Oh, what do you say the most impactful interview you've done so far in your career?
The most impactful. Hmm.
Like inspiring and
Right. I think personally, the most inspiring interview for me would be my she's still a close friend of mine, Ariane. She's a real estate agent and she owns a restaurant she just opened in Chicago called Soul Ramen. So if you're passing through, please stop by her restaurant. It looks so scrumptious. I can't wait to go. Um, and I met her at InvestFest let me see, I went year two, three, and four. I met her at year two. And year three, I ran into her again. I had my son with me. And she flew out here. She's part of a sorority, so she flew out here to D.C. for a sorority event and stayed an extra day just to do the interview with me. And so that was very awesome. And her journey as a mother I believe her son is autistic, so she's caring for her son as a single mother. She's a prosperous real estate agent, and then she just opened her own restaurant.
No,
So yeah,
that's
and so we
that's
have to schedule a follow up interview with her. So I'm trying to nail that down now.
that's that's amazing, and I love stories about like that underdog stories and people that never give up, but they keep going with their business, and it's amazing. And for you also being a mother too, and you're doing a great job of keeping up your bit with your business. So talk about your obviously we're all about family, and obviously I'm a big advocate of women in sports, and but for you, talk about your family and your kid, and also talk about representing the younger girls and the younger women in this generation now.
Okay. Well, my son is 15. We are, like I said earlier, I'm big on health as wealth. I have a culinary arts degree as well. So I thought about going into nutrition, to be a nutritionist, but then I saw that wasn't really the route. That's why I went into financial literacy and technology. But my son, I, I'm gonna go back to my history in sports. I was a cheerleader for 7 years. The last 2 years of it, I was in competition cheerleading with Capital Gymnastics. Um, and so my son, he was in football. Then COVID hit, and so he hasn't been back into any sports since. But most recently, we did get him into boxing, so he does boxing now, and that's the sport that he likes the most. And my son also has a mission to help uplift the youth. Uh, and I believe I might have influenced that a little bit. Um, I feel like educating the next generation is it's the path of least resistance for change. A lot of people who are already over a certain age range are stuck in their ways, and you can't it's harder to try to change their habits that they've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years versus somebody who is just forming their habits for the past 5 or 10 years, maybe 15. It's a big difference. And I've studied change management while I was doing my master's in business and my associate's bachelor's on it as well. And change management is the most difficult thing to go through in business because it's also hard in life. A lot of people don't want to do the change because it requires them to be a little uncomfortable. It requires them to be in a position where they might not know everything. It requires them to be different. And that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. hmm I definitely agree with that too. And talk. So talk about the event that you were at this weekend. You spoke on it before the show. You talk about you did some interviews over there. Just talk about the overall event you did this weekend.
Oh yeah, last week I was honored to be a part of the National Alliance to End Homelessness conference, which was held here in DC from let's see, what were the dates for last week? The 8th to the 10th? Yeah, July 8th through the 10th. I believe that's correct. And they chose me because I helped participate in a local newspaper here in DC. There's a local newspaper called Street Sense Media, which helps support the local homeless community by providing ways for them to earn money by being either a vendor, well, not either or, you can do all of the above. So you can be a vendor where you're selling the papers to earn money and you keep all the money. They sell the papers to them for, I think, 50 cents or a dollar, and you sell them for $3, which is what's stamped on the papers. You can also earn money from contributing to the paper. So they do poetry, artwork, articles, editorials, and you can contribute to the paper and they'll give you money for that as well. And so that's a way for the homeless to earn money without having to, when they're unable to actually get a traditional job. I ran across that because in my early years here in DC, I was unhoused for a while. I won't say completely homeless, but I was unhoused for a while. And so I went to Street Sense Media and they actually helped me a lot. They helped me a lot, a lot. And I did all of the things, which is contributing to the paper because I am a writer. Um, so I contribute poetry, editorials, all of that. And by me being that participant, then they offered me the position as being the part of the only press for the conference. So they only chose 5 of us, and I interviewed a lot of people. There were politicians and organizations from all 50 states. And I do mean all 50 states. I even talked to a young lady from Hawaii who had been chronically homeless also since youth. And her last instance of homelessness was caused because of her being attacked. People don't hear these stories, and they should. Sometimes a woman that gets in a domestic violence situation ends up getting the short end of the sticks even more when you try to leave, which is why a lot of people stay. So she had been attacked, stabbed. Her and her daughter were held hostage. And by the end of it, the dude got locked up. She got treatment at the hospital and everything. But when she got out of the hospital, she had a big bill from her landlord to clean up all of the blood, and ended up in another situation. And people don't hear these stories, and they should. You walk by. I heard another story of a person that we thought was homeless in my neighborhood. And I talked to a lady who knew that she does have a home. She's just mentally ill. And so we end up seeing her on the corner naked and stuff like that. Because her family you can't force her to take her medicine. You give it to her, tell her to take it. Whether she takes it or not is up to her. And a lot of situations in this whole country, people don't recognize, they don't acknowledge. Um, you can't have empathy for something if you don't know about it. So a lot of people are told the same narratives of homeless people. Oh, they put themselves in that situation, or oh, they have a drug problem, or you instantly assume they have a drinking problem or something. And it's not always the case. Some people just end up in that situation because they didn't have savings and their car broke down. And so now they can't get to work. It can be something as simple as that. 75% of Americans are on the brink of being homeless. And there will be an article coming out soon. I'm also going to make some social media posts about it as well, and a Substack article, because I got a lot of good information, connections, contacts. They asked us to get at least 5 interviews. I think I got 8 because it was a lot of people and a lot of information that was needed. And the biggest problem is community and dependence on the government also. A lot of people who are actually on the brink of homelessness were dependent on government programs. There's a lot of people who are dependent on government programs right now, and because their financial literacy is not where it should be, they think that that's a sure plan. So if the government's paying my rent, then that means if I make extra or if somebody gives me extra, then I can go on a trip or I can buy these extra new furniture or I could buy new clothes when really you should be saving the money and investing it because the government isn't guaranteed. It isn't. Um, we need to become more of a community, like I said earlier, and start depending on each other. And it's not necessarily taking from the rich. We need to reach out to the rich people who want to be venture philanthropists and construct things and put it together and put together these systems to help bring these people off the streets that want to come off the street because some of those people actually like living out in the elements, quite honestly. I'm not going to say the majority, I'll just say a few people, they like the freedom of not having to pay rent and just living out there. Some people like that. So it's not necessarily making sure everybody is housed, it's just making sure everybody is safe.
That's true, and at least that's awesome. You got some great, amazing content from there, and looking forward to it when you post it, and that's impactful, and that should be talking about too.
Yeah.
Um, Before we let you go, I got some fun questions for you. Um,
Okay.
being in DC, are you a DC any sport? Are you a fan of any teams in DC, or are you mix? Are you a mix with the teams?
I'm a mix with the teams. My dad loves the Commanders. That's his favorite team, always has been. My mom too. And but I like the Steelers.
Oh wow.
I like the Steelers. We lived in Pittsburgh for a little while, one of those times that I had to move. And that my big brother at the time, that's his favorite team, so I kind of liked it. And then I like Wiz Khalifa, and then I like Snoop Dogg. That's his favorite team. So yeah, that's my favorite team. That's why
Yeah.
it's slightly bandwagon, but not really. That's my favorite team, whether they win or lose.
Hey, you got to stick with your team. So,
Yes.
um, your favorite food spot in DC?
Ooh, favorite. Hmm. I have two. So the first one is Hip City Veg because it's a
Hmm.
vegan place, and then the second one, ooh, Kava.
Kava. Mm.
I was gonna say Roaming Roosters. I like Roaming Roosters, but Kava is my favorite. Oh, I
Mm.
would choose them over Roaming Roosters. It's healthier, and I used to work there. Yeah, I used to work there.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have Kava here in Jersey too. Is it's good place, good healthy place,
I'm glad they
salads and
made
everything.
it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're actually based here in DC. Their
Oh, okay.
headquarters is here. They started here, yes. And
Wow.
when I first moved to DC, that was the first like job that I had here in DC. Um, I was lucky because the job I had in Virginia when I was living in Hampton, Virginia, the regional director left Boston Market, and if the audience knows, Boston Market is now closed, most of them, if not all of them. The regional director for that area had left Boston Market like 6 months before I did, and he said he was moving to DC. I didn't know exactly for what. Then when I reached out to him when I got here to DC, I was like, I know you said you're working with a company that was started by some people he had went to school with. And it turned out to be Kava, and so he got me a job at Kava. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the power
That's
of
awesome.
networking.
Yep. There you go. Yep. That's awesome too. Yeah. Um. So, what's your favorite music?
My favorite music, my favorite music. I like I like all kinds of music. Quite honestly, it just depends on my mood. So I listen to rap, country, rock. um, all kinds of music. And my favorite artists are the people with positive messages, like Joey Badass and Nas, and
Yeah.
yeah.
What would you tell your younger self now?
I would tell my younger self, focus on you.
Hmm. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Focus on making you better.
There you go.
Yes.
So before we let you go, would you like to promote anything on the show?
Um, yes, I would like to promote Flowbot Forge, which
Mm-hmm.
is and Prosperity Pathways podcast. So Flowbot
Yeah.
Forge is my tech business where we help founders integrate AI and scale their business through automations and automating your go-to-market strategy. We help you scale and learn AI
Mm.
safely, learn how to use it safely. And then Prosperity Pathways podcast, check it out. It's got a lot of interesting inspiration. And I am also always looking for more guests. So please
Yeah.
reach out.
Yeah. So there you have it, Erica Downing. Thank you for joining. This has been amazing, and keep up the great work. And you're such an inspiration, and glad to be connected. And yeah, thank you again. And obviously, we'll stay connected and keep it up. I love what you're doing. This is truly amazing. Thank you, Erica, for joining.
Thank you.